You are about to see 7 objects that should not exist. 7 artifacts that rewrote everything we thought we knew about ancient history. Stay until the end, because the last one will change the way you see the world. Stop for a moment, right now while you're watching this video. Somewhere in a factory, a CNC machine is cutting metal to within 1 micron. A laser is slicing steel guided by computer models. A robot polishes a surface to mirror perfection. We call this the pinnacle of civilization. But what if this pinnacle is not the first? Beneath the sands of Egypt, in cramped underground niches, stand 25 granite containers. Each one weighs 100 tons, the weight of a fully loaded railway wagon, sealed in stone. Engineers who measured the inner surfaces with modern instruments couldn't believe their eyes. Deviation of just 2/10,000ths of an inch. This is not just good workmanship. This is the precision we only achieved with CNC machines. Official science says these are tombs for bulls. Engineers say this is impossible. 1850. French archaeologist Auguste Mariette forces his way through sand-filled passages in the labyrinth beneath Saqqara. He expected to find mummies, hieroglyphs, gold. Instead, silence and mirror-polished walls. The Serapeum is a system of underground galleries hundreds of meters long. Along the walls, niches. In the niches, granite sarcophagi. 25 of them, each carved from a single block of diorite, a stone harder than steel. Christopher Dunn, an engineer with 49 years of experience in aerospace and precision manufacturing. A man who understands accuracy. When he descended into the Serapeum with modern measuring instruments, he spent several hours there, in silence, because the numbers didn't add up. Angles exactly 90 degrees. Not approximately 90 exactly. Corner radius 4 millimeters. Surfaces so flat that a metal feeler gauge cannot find a gap between them and a calibration standard. Dunn called an American company that makes granite calibration plates for industry. He described the box and asked, "Can you make this today?" The answer, with unlimited budget, yes, but only from 6 separate pieces, because no modern machine can mill this from a single block. The ancient masters did it from 191. Greek divers pull wreckage from a Roman ship from the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea, a ship that sank 2,000 years ago. Among amphoras and statues, a greenish lump of bronze the size of a thick book. Nobody knew what it was. It was placed on a shelf in a museum in Athens. It sat on that shelf for 100 years. Then scientists pointed an X-ray tomograph at it. Inside 37 gears, perfectly fitted, with teeth cut at calculated angles. Inside this lump of bronze was hidden a differential mechanism, the very same component found in every car today, allowing wheels to rotate at different speeds when turning. It was a computer, not metaphorically, literally, a mechanical computer that calculated the positions of the sun and moon in the sky. It predicted eclipses, tracked lunar phases, followed the positions of the 5 known planets, all simultaneously through the interaction of gears, without a single electronic component. The complexity of this mechanism was not matched by European science until the 14th century, 1,500 years later. Who built it? Inscriptions suggest a connection to the Greek astronomer Hipparchus. But where did he get such technology? Where was the workshop that produced it? Where are the other examples? There are none. It is the only known specimen, alone, like a message from a civilization we lost. In the British Museum, in a special illuminated case, stands a cup. At first glance, ordinary greenish glass from the 4th century. A relief scene. King Lycurgus, entwined in a grapevine. Switch the light, and the cup ignites in ruby red from within. Same object, same material, 2 completely different colors depending on the angle of illumination. Physicists from the University of Illinois investigated. They literally crumbled a tiny fragment and placed it under an electron microscope. What they found, particles of gold and silver fused into the glass structure. The size of each particle, 50 to 100 nanometers, 1,000 times smaller than a grain of table salt. This effect is called plasmonic resonance. Metal nanoparticles interact with light differently, depending on whether light passes through them or reflects off them. Today we use this principle in quantum sensors, medical diagnostics, and virus detection technologies. In the courtyard of the Clockwork Islam Mosque in Delhi stands an iron pillar. Height 7.5 meters, weight 6 tons, age 1600 years. It does not rust. Not barely rusts. Not rust slower than normal, it does not rust. 16 centuries under tropical monsoon rains, scorching heat and humidity, not a single significant spot of corrosion. For comparison, the Eiffel Tower has stood since 1889. It is repainted every 7 years or it would begin to deteriorate. A regular steel structure in the tropics would rot within decades. Scientists from the Indian Institute of Technology spent years on analysis. The answer was unexpected. On the surface of the pillar formed an ultra-thin layer of crystalline iron phosphate, the mineral mesawite. This layer doesn't simply protect the metal from outside, it actively regenerates. When a scratch or microcrack appears, the layer seals itself. The ancient blacksmiths achieved this through a special forging technique, repeated heating and hammering using ash and slag rich in phosphorus. They didn't know the words phosphate and passivation, but they knew the process, passed hand to hand, generation to generation. And then the chain broke, and we rediscovered stainless steel only in the early 20th century. By 1936, Egyptian archaeologist Walter Emery opens the tomb of an official named Sabu at Saqqara. The tomb is 5,000 years old. Era, first dynasty of the pharaohs. Among the burial inventory, he finds an object he cannot identify. A flat stone disc, diameter about 60 centimeters, thicker in the center, thinner at the edges, and 3 curved lobes twisted in one direction like the blades of a fan. The material, metastist, a brittle rock that literally crumbles from a careless touch. Carving such a complex shape from it is practically impossible even with modern tools. 5,000 years ago, the craftsmen had only copper chisels and stone abrasives. For decades, the disc lay in a museum without explanation. Official version, a decorative vessel, a ritual object. Then one engineer looked at it from a professional perspective. The disc shape exactly replicates the impeller of a centrifugal pump. Not resembles, matches structurally. Curved lobes, asymmetric profile, central thickening, all characteristics of a device designed to create a water vortex. A group of enthusiasts printed an exact copy of the disc on a 3D printer, placed it in water. The disc worked, creating a powerful, stable vortex, pumping liquid with unexpected efficiency. Aerodynamics specialists confirmed the disc's geometry matches optimal parameters for working with fluids. This is not a random shape. The question that still has no answer: how? How did a craftsman of the first dynasty of Egypt carve a precise pump impeller from brittle stone, without a lathe, without templates, without understanding hydrodynamics? And what was it for? Let us move to Iraq. It is 1936. German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig works in the outskirts of Baghdad. In one of the houses from the Parthian period, approximately 250 years before our era, he finds a strange clay vessel. Inside, a copper cylinder. Inside the cylinder, an iron rod. The rod is insulated from the cylinder by asphalt. Koenig is speechless. Before him is a galvanic cell, a battery. When modern scientists poured vinegar into a copy of this vessel, ordinary table vinegar, the device showed a voltage of half a volt. Several such vessels connected together would provide sufficient voltage for electroplating gold or silver onto metal. And here's what is interesting. The Iraqi museum holds thousands of small objects, figurines, jewelry coated in an ultra-thin layer of gold with perfectly even application. Exactly the kind of result achieved by electroplating. Not gold amalgamation, not vapor deposition, electrolysis. Official science invented the battery in 1800, Alessandro Volta. That is a fact. But the Parthian jar with a copper cylinder is 2,000 years older than Volta. Skeptics say it is a coincidence of form, simply a vessel for storing scroll. But then why is it hermetically sealed? Why are there traces of acidic environment inside? Why are the rod and cylinder insulated from each other in exactly the way needed for a galvanic cell to function? Coincidence? Or knowledge that we believe is ours but merely rediscovered? 1513, Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis draws a map of the world. He does this, as written in his own notes, drawing upon 20 ancient sources, including, by his account, maps from the time of Alexander the Great. The Piri Reis map is a beautiful, detailed document. The coastlines of Africa and South America are drawn with remarkable accuracy for the 16th century. But that is not the main thing. On the map is drawn the coastline of a southern continent, where according to every textbook there should be empty ocean. Antarctica was officially discovered in 1820, 300 years after Piri Reis drew its outlines. American cartographer Charles Hapgood in the 1960s conducted a detailed analysis and submitted the map to the U.S. Army Map Service. Military cartographers confirmed the coastline on the Piri Reis map broadly corresponds to the coastline of Antarctica under the ice, the coastline we were only able to see using seismography in the 20th century. The ice on Antarctica, according to geological data, formed approximately 6,000 years ago. This means that the sources Piri Reis used were compiled at a time when the continent was not yet covered in ice, and someone saw it. Who? This is a question that has no convenient official answer. Let us stop. We traveled through the underground chambers of Egypt, raised a bronze computer from the bottom of the sea, held a cup that changes color, struck an iron pillar that refuses to rust, lowered a stone turbine into water, connected a 2,000-year-old battery, and looked at a map drawn before the continent on it was discovered. Each of these objects is real. They can be seen in museums, they can be measured, they can be touched, and each of them asks the same question. Not how, but why did we think we were the first? We are accustomed to imagining the history of civilization as a straight line. Primitive people with stone axes and a gradual rise toward us, intelligent and technological. It is a convenient picture. It makes us the pinnacle of progress. But what if history is a spiral? What if peaks of knowledge rise and collapse like waves? What if we have already been where we stand now and lost it? The great library of Alexandria burned. With it, perhaps hundreds of technologies we still consider our own inventions. The Serapeum was buried in sand. The Antikythera mechanism lay alone on the ocean floor. The secret of the Lycurgus cup was taken by the craftsmen of a dying empire. The real mystery is not how the ancients made these things. The real mystery is how easily knowledge disappears, and how much of it still waits beneath the sand. Please share in the comments which of the presented artifacts stirred a particular feeling for you, and why. I'd be genuinely interested to hear your thoughts. If you've taken the time to watch this far, you're likely someone who appreciates thoughtful content. I'd be grateful if you could let me know where you're joining me from. I hope you find the information and presentation enjoyable and worthwhile. I do my best to put together these videos hoping they'll be useful for you. If you found it helpful, a simple like would be greatly appreciated. It helps others find similar stories. And if you haven't already, I'd welcome you to subscribe. Wishing you all the best and good health. Until next time, and thank you for watching.